There we go. Now it's working. I was sending it to the wrong stream key.
Oh.
So we should be up and live now. How's it going, everybody?
I can see a big dumb head with the big dumb headphones on it, so we are good.
There you go. All right, so that is now publish. And now I'm just going to get a shareable link. And I can close that, and I'll update this one so that it's in the description. It's Avengers, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I said last week that we're going to do Avengers, so I can't change it. I'd much prefer to do Risk of Rain 2, I think, but we'll do Avengers today.
That game is awesome. Risk of Rain 2. I haven't played Avengers, so I don't know.
It is so very good.
All right. There we go. And save. All right. How's it going, everybody? Darren Pogue says, for what it's worth, pinned messages in YouTube are distracting. You read and dismiss them, and they keep coming back. All right. Good to know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get rid of it. Is that the same thing for you? Like, is it coming back?
It hasn't left because I didn't dismiss it. So let's dismiss it and see if it
yeah,
pops
I'm
back
curious. All right. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Cedric Crenshaw, who became a member 12 hours ago while we were offline. So thank you very much for that, Cedric. You're awesome. Along with all of the people who are here and hanging out with us today. You guys are also awesome and fantastic. We really appreciate you. Make sure you click on all of those buttons. Lloyd, you want to give people the Stadia Cats update of the day? We didn't do it last time, and people were upset with us.
Oh, yeah. Tank, we took him into the vet a couple weeks ago because he had some issues with his gums, where his upper back molars were digging into his bottom gums, and we're like, oh my god, are we gonna have to like shave down his teeth? Are we gonna have to pull them? We didn't know what we were doing. So he got an injection of antibiotics, and it actually cleared everything up. So he's healthy, he's happy, and the cats are amazing, and they're spending way more time sleeping beside us on the bed than they used to. So I think they're three plus months in, 4 months in, I think they're finally settled in, and they love it in the house.
There you go. That's awesome. Marvel and DC we call it sharking. It's where they run around in circles
Yeah.
with their tail up.
Sure.
And they like to get our attention because I was being lazy and didn't get out of bed at the regular time, and so they wanted us to feed them. All right. Are you ready to make a thing?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Let's make an MP3.
My voice doesn't sound too rough today, does it? In my ears it sounds okay.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me. I wouldn't even know that you were sick if you hadn't said anything. You just sound fine.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to Stadia Cast. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. How's it going, Lloyd?
It is going okay, Bill. It's Sunday morning. Got some games to play. Doing an Avengers stream right after this live stream, which hopefully some other people will jump into as well, because I'd love to play with the community. So yeah, it's doing pretty good.
Yeah, before we do get started on the actual show, we do record this show live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. over at youtube.com/StadiaCast, and that's also where you can find live streams. I did an open mic yesterday. Lloyd's doing an Avengers stream today. So if you want to get notified whenever those things happen, head on over to the YouTube channel and click all of the YouTube buttons, because it really does help. If you want to directly support the show and you're here with us live, you use the super chat feature. That way we are guaranteed to see your message, and we respond to each and every one of those messages at the second half of the show, or the crowd play segment of the show. There's also a join button down below if you want to know what that's all about. Click it, because that's what you do on the internet. You click on things. All right, let's get started with the same thing that we always get started with, Lloyd. What have we been playing? I'm actually going to start us off today.
Okay.
I played a total of 2 hours of video games this week. I was very, very happy that I was able to get even that amount of gaming in. I played Risk of Rain 2, which I know that you and I have got to talk about. So
Yep.
I'm going to list the games that I played, and then let's talk about each of them in turn. So I played Risk of Rain 2. I played Dead by Daylight, and I played a little more of, oh my god, I should have written it down. Serious Sam 4. So I don't have much more to say about Serious Sam 4. My initial impressions are pretty much the same. It's Doom, but stupid, and not much else for me to say about that. But let's talk about Risk of Rain 2, because I know that you've played that as well.
Yeah, I did a first look, and it just happens. So the game is randomly generated, or it's procedurally generated. The levels themselves mostly stay the same. There's some things that move around a little bit, like boxes and things like that. But other things in the level are completely randomly generated. So in every level, you spawn, and then there's a little teleporter, and you have to find the teleporter, activate the teleporter, defeat the boss, and then go on to the next level. I spent 30 minutes in the opening level not being able to find the teleporter, and that was a poor first look, and I'm being taken to task in the comments. But I mean, it's not a I'm an expert at this game look. It's a first look. It's the first time that you jumped into something. So since that first look, I've played a number of hours, and I love the game. So each time through the game is different. There's different power-ups that I'm getting. There's different levels that you go to, because each one gets randomized. So you might go to like a forest biome in the second level, or you might go to a desert. I've been to secret levels. I've been to crazy boss battles. Like I went into some sort of gold portal, and I fought a bunch of gold bosses. And then next thing you know, every time after that I go to a teleporter, it spawns this huge beast that fights with me to beat the boss. So it's just like there's all these really, really cool things with it, plus a pile of unlockable characters and other stuff like that. I'm really, really, really loving Risk of Rain 2. It's a 4-player single or 4-player online co-op game where you're trying to get as far as you possibly can to unlock new characters, new everything, new stuff. So much fun. What did you think of it?
Well, I've complained about this a million times. Games, please teach me how to play, because I had this game does not teach you anything. Like I don't know, maybe I missed something, but there was no instructions on how to play. So
Nope.
that's probably why you were struggling with your first look. And to the people who were giving him a hard time about that, relax. I don't know. But the game does not teach you how to play. And luckily, I did my first mission on my own, and I was like, okay, I don't understand what I was doing. I was just running around killing the same enemies over and over again. I found the teleporter, and then I used it, and I got killed. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'm not really sure what's happening. Let me try multiplayer, and then I can follow people around and see what it is that I'm supposed to do. Luckily, so I've heard that there are people who are having trouble finding matches. I've played one multiplayer match, and when I looked for a match, I found somebody to play with instantaneously. So
Okay.
I don't know if that was just luck on my part or what, but I queued up, got into a group with this other person, and they had already unlocked like other characters or heroes or whatever they're called in the game. Like she had a bow and arrow basically, and
Mhm.
it was clear that they were on keyboard and mouse because they were typing to me, and they were like,
Right.
hey, I'll see you in 5 minutes at the teleporter. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I was
Sure.
using controller, and I hit the button. I was like, I'm new. It's like trying to get a message as quickly as possible. And so then they said, follow me, and we just kind of went around and did stuff, and eventually I got killed because I didn't know what I was doing really, and then I just kind of spectated them for a while, and that kind of taught me how to play the game. So then I quit multiplayer and I went back into single player, and I ended
Mhm.
up playing that for about an hour, I think. Just it was just one run for an hour. So like
Right.
I went to like 10 different levels, and there was this crazy boss fight with this guy that has a giant hammer, and he ended up killing me. It was insane and awesome, and I was finding these cool abilities, and I was starting to put, you know, two and two together with, oh, okay, if I this ability lets me do this, and if I combine that with this other thing that I just picked up, that's going to make me even more powerful.
Right.
And I felt like my character was getting faster and faster and more agile. I ended up with like a double jump.
Hmm.
It's just awesome. Risk of Rain 2 is fantastic, and I'm loving even just the single player. Even just the single player is fantastic. I can't wait to play this game with other people, and it is a shame that there are people. I'm assuming that I just got lucky that I matched with somebody instantaneously, but
Right.
um, it's a shame that it doesn't have cross-play support, because we'll talk in a minute about a game that does have cross-play support, and there is no waiting at all for that. But I think
Sure.
it's just a great game, and if you don't have this, I highly recommend picking it up. I think it's $20, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's $20. It's it, it's quickly becoming one of my favorite games just to pop into and do a quick run. Although I did that before, I had to barbecue for dinner one night, and my wife was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get some things ready in the kitchen. You have about 15 minutes," and I was like, "All right, cool." And that's when I happened to get to the place where you can unlock artifacts, which are things that that you can basically turn on for your future gameplays, and they change kind of the way the gameplay. And I'm like, I kind of need to finish this because I want to see what happens. And it took me like 40 minutes to get there. So I was the 15-minute run quickly turned into a 40-minute run without really even noticing it was going that long. The game has definitely one of those one more run kind of
Mm-hmm.
things, very much like um, a Spelunky or whatever, where you play, you get far, and you're like, I can do better, and then you jump in and play again. It's a fun game. I'm loving it a lot.
So let me ask you a question. Two questions. A,
Sure.
um, well, I get this isn't a question but a comment. I do wish that I could save a run, like a single player run. I wish I could say, okay, I have things to do. I'm just going to save where I am and come back
Yeah,
later. That would be awesome. But
that
then
would
here's
be.
my question. You said the artifacts. Is that the Y button thing?
No, artifacts are things that you choose before you start a level, and they'll change things. Like the one I unlocked, what it does is it turns on friendly fire, so enemies can hurt other enemies, and
Oh.
players can hurt other players.
Oh.
So it's little things like that. They're not really like making your game easier, but there's like a risk versus reward thing for it for turning those on. I wanted to see what they did, so I basically spent a lot of time trying to beat the boss that I had to beat to then to unlock that thing, which is funny because in the next run I got a little partner that follows along with me and kills people. Except if you shoot him, he gets mad at you. And then he comes after you, and you can't kill him because he just keeps respawning, and he's always mad at you. And I'm like, okay, this made my next run really really difficult. I'm running away from my helper, but yeah, the game itself is really fun. I have not done any multiplayer, and I do really want to. So we'll have to do a game night and do us versus the world, or us and a couple other random players versus the world, because I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Risk of Rain 2 is really, really great. All right. So let's move on and talk about another game that I've been playing. And I don't know if you've had a chance to play it yet. I've played, I don't know, I think 4 matches now of Dead by Daylight, which can either be long matches or short matches. All of mine were very short matches, because I got killed incredibly fast. This is one of the new pro games, which we'll talk about. All of the pro games that came out in October, later
Sure.
on in the show. Have you had a chance to play Dead by Daylight yet?
I have not. I have not. The only other pro game that I've played is Humans Fall Flat. So I can talk about that after you're done with Dead by Daylight.
All right. So I like Dead by Daylight. I like it a lot. It's really fun. What I've played so far, I'm incredibly bad at it. I wish that I could turn off the screams
Mm,
because it bugs me. I don't like when the killer catches you. Have you so you've never played it, like not on other
nope,
platforms or anything. Okay, so
nope.
when the killer catches you, they got to hit you twice and then you fall down. Um and it's not super gory or anything. But like then they pick you up and they carry you over to a hook and they put you on a hook and the hook kind of goes through your shoulder and your character just screams really loud. And
Right.
the character models are it's an older game, so it doesn't look super gross, but it's just kind of like, ooh, I don't like that. And I don't think I'm going to stream that game just because of the whole hook thing. But I'm going to continue playing it because I have been enjoying it. I think it's a really interesting game and it has crossplay. So, when I hit that button, uh, instantaneously, I'm matched up with five other people because the fifth person is the killer.
Right.
You're instantaneously matched up with five other people, four other people. Sorry, I was doing the math wrong. I wasn't counting myself. Anyway, math on stream is a bad idea, and you're right into the game. And if you get killed quick, then it's over, and you can load into another one. It's really really fun. And I imagine that if I were like on voice comms with with friends and we were all playing together, that it would be even better. People in chat are saying I'm surprised Bill likes this game. I I have a tendency to stay away from games that are like this, but JB nailed it. It's basically hide and seek. That's what it is. You're playing hide and seek, and it's really fun. And I love the fact that they have like all of these monsters from horror movies, like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, and I think Mike Myers is in there. And I had to fight like some crazy nurse thing, which I don't know what it is, but she can go through walls and stuff. I feel like it's really, really hard to win as survivors, though.
Right.
And maybe it's supposed to be that way. I don't know, but I've never won as a survivor. I've only played 4 times though, but it's like this game feels like it's really skewed in favor of the the killer. But maybe
Right.
that's just because people have been playing it for so long. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Like it's a game that I used to play a lot of, like Left 4 Dead and other games like that where you're partnering up trying to get through kind of like horror-y kind of things. But yeah, I definitely want to check this one out at some point. Hopefully try a stream just to see what the crowd choice and stuff looks like. Because yeah, I want to see like all of that stuff. And the fact that we can now link our YouTube channels to our Stadia account, like we're getting there. Features are starting to pop up, so this is a really good thing.
Yeah, and one other thing about Dead by Daylight, and then you can talk about Human Fall Flat. Like you have to fix these 5 generators in order to like you're trapped in an enclosed area, and there's 5 generators throughout the level that you have to fix, and then you can go to the door and get the door to open and escape, and that's how the survivors win is by having at least one survivor escape. And when
Sure.
you're doing when you're interacting with things in the environment, so you'll be swiveling your camera around to try and look behind you and see where is are they sneaking up on me. But then there'll be like a dun dun sound in the middle, and a circle will show up, and a little very very quick, like a almost like a QTE event where it will spin around and you have to hit a button at the right time. And
Right.
if you fail, that will reduce your progress that you've made towards fixing the generator, and it will alert the killer to where you are. So I
Hmm.
was really, really bad at those. Like I could not like nail it, and it got me killed a couple of times. Anyway, so Tell us all about Human Fall Flat. This is a game that I've played once on my son's Nintendo Switch, and I never wanted to play it again because I don't like the controls.
Sure. So it's a physics-based puzzler kind of, where you're in a group of people and you're trying to complete challenges by getting from one part of a stage to another. And when you get to that part of the stage morphs and it adds more to the stage. If you die, you just fall back in and you reappear. So there's really no penalty for death. I didn't play much of it. I know Jem was streaming it, and he posted the link to his game. So I was like, oh, I've never played this before. Let's jump in. So he had 16 people trying to get through the game. I only played a part of the kind of ship level, and essentially the controls are you move your character forward and back with the left stick, and you move your arms up and down with the right stick, and each of the triggers has one of your hands for a grip, so you can grip something with one hand and still move your other hand. It's meant to be like an Octodad or a Surgeon Simulator, where the controls are just off enough where you try to do something and it doesn't work, and it usually turns out to some hilarious thing. So yeah, you can play through the whole game with 16 players, which is new for Stadia. It's 8 players everywhere else, including PC. And yeah, like it's just it's crazy. Andrew G in the chat room says, how can you explain how to pull yourself up on ledges? I finally figured that out right at the end of my gameplay. I only played about 15, 16, 20 minutes, something like that. So you basically you look up, so your hands go up, and then you grip, and then you look down, and then your hands go down, and then you pull yourself up onto over a ledge. So it's basically just crazy physics-based fun. I had no idea what this game was. I had seen it on Switch and on PC and people talking about it on Reddit and stuff like that, but I'd never looked into it because I generally don't like games like this that much. Like they're fun for a few minutes and then I kind of move past. But the 15 minutes that I played for Human Fall Flat, I really enjoyed it. I want to kind of make my way through the whole game because I don't know how many levels there are, but I know Jem said that he completed the game multiplayer in 2 different sessions. So I think that's something I want to do. There are 63 achievements and they're all hidden. So that sucks. I don't like the way Stadia does hidden achievements because you can't even like go into the advanced things and see what they are. So hopefully Stadia can fix that in the future. Like every other system, you can look at your hidden achievements to see what they are. But yeah, the game is great. You can customize your little blobby dude. You can give him all sorts of shirts and pants and shoes and colors and hats and skins, and it doesn't appear that any of those things need to be unlocked with like real money that I can see. Like there was like 100 different things that were just unlocked just by owning the game. So I'm really interested in getting back into this game and playing through some more of it because it is really fun. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. It's one of those games where you're doing just ridiculous things and it falls apart and everybody falls to their death and you end up just like busting a gut laughing because it was like you were almost there, but something stupid happened and it took everybody down. And games like that can be really fun, especially when there's 16 people because everyone's trying to grab onto each other and do stupid things as well. So you're fighting against the game as much as you're fighting against the other players at the same time. So some really great games added this month as pro games.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the pro games, so we may as well jump straight to that. Let's talk about what are the pro games that we've got that came out 4 days ago on the 1st. We already talked about Human Fall Flat, Dead by Daylight. What are the other pro games?
So it's a really good month. So we have Celeste, we have Jotun, we have Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, and we have Super Hot, Mind Control Delete, which is the sequel to Super Hot. And so there's something for everybody. There's multiple multiplayer games, there's single player platformers, there's RPG kind of games, and then there's a first person shooter. This is a really, really good month for Stadia Pro.
Wait, what's the first person shooter? Oh, you mean Super Hot?
Super Hot, yeah.
I don't think that's a first person shooter.
That's a first person shooter puzzle game.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game in my opinion. But But I get what you're saying. Sorry, I just got confused by that. So if you were to tell somebody, all right, this is the game you have to try right now of these six games. Can you believe we got another 6 games in October? Of these 6, which
Yeah.
one would you say go try this one right now? Shut off the podcast and go try it.
Okay, don't shut off the podcast and go try. If you've already beaten Super Hot and you know how it ends, Super Hot Mind Control Delete is great because it kind of takes place sort of after the first game ends. If you don't care how the first game ends, you can also jump into that one right away. If you don't want any spoilers, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris is surprisingly awesome. I didn't really expect to like it when I first played it back on, I don't know, like Xbox
PS3?
360 or something.
Yeah,
PS3, like
it was 2 gens
something.
ago.
Yeah, and it is a really fun multiplayer game. You don't have to play multiplayer; you can play single player, but you can play up to 4 players, and it's more of a puzzle solving game than a strict like Tomb Raider game where you're going through big levels and looking for tombs and solving puzzles that way. But yeah, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris is surprisingly fun and a really great addition to get more multiplayer stuff happening on Stadia.
I would recommend that everybody play Celeste. That is a game that I heard nothing but fantastic things about. Every time that I looked at footage of it, I said, there's no way that game can be fun because it looks way too hard. And I was like, when they sent a review copy when it came to Stadia and I played it, I was like, I was wrong. That game is awesome. And it runs wonderfully on Stadia. There's no latency to worry about. Latency is not really an issue on Stadia anyway. But Celeste is absolutely fantastic, and that's definitely a game that you want to play. But you're right, Lloyd. There's something for everybody this month on Stadia. And then, just real quick before we move on, they do have, speaking of for everyone, they said discounts for everyone on the Stadia store. You can pick up Division 2 is on sale currently on Stadia, and then it's if you're a pro member, it's also on sale for even less. So if you have not picked up Division 2, really, really good MMO on Google Stadia. I'm a huge fan of it. And it was
just off the free weekend that happened last weekend. So they did a free weekend, and people that really loved it can now pick it up for a pretty decent discount.
That's right. And it's one of those games that has that really, really awesome feature of what's it called? Stream Connect? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got Stream Connect, where if Lloyd and I are in playing that game together, it takes his window and puts it or his screen and puts it in a little window down in the bottom right corner of my screen, and it's just such a cool feature. When I was playing that game and I was in a group with other Stadia players, I could look down and then I could see exactly where they were and what they were doing and what I could do to help them out. And I can't wait for more games to have stuff like that. Darren Pogue in chat is saying, seems like Division 2 and Recon are always on sale. That might be true, but you should buy. Well, I'm not going to recommend Recon because I didn't like it, but Division 2 I recommend highly. That game is really fantastic.
Definitely. And going back to Celeste for a second before we move on, Celeste is a really, really hard platformer. The early levels are easy, but when you get to near the end of the game, the levels are just punishingly hard. And the best thing that Celeste added was the ability to turn on helpers. So if you want to be able to double jump all the time, you turn that on. If you want to be able to have unlimited boosts, you can do that. If you want to be able to never die, you can turn that on as well. So even though the game is punishingly difficult, you can make it easier for you so you're not banging your head up against the wall in frustration as you're trying to beat later levels. I really appreciated that because most of the games that are hard for the sake of being hard, they just love the fact that there's going to be people online complaining about it. Like when you watched Meat Boy and people are saying how hard Meat Boy was in some of the levels, you had the creators of Meat Boy going online and laughing and saying, yeah, just keep at it, but no, it's going to kick your butt, this is going to be great, and just getting into the whole fact that it's super, super hard. Same with Cuphead, same with Dead Souls and Demon Souls and all those games that are hard for the sake of being hard. Celeste is hard if you want it to be, but you can make it easy and you can still beat the game, get the good ending, get all that stuff without worrying about being like playing it on the hardest difficulty. You don't have to worry about that stuff. I really appreciated that about Celeste.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue talking about the Stadia news. Stick around, everybody. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I cannot stop coughing.
You sound worse than I do.
I don't even have a cold. I don't know what it is. All right. Let me just save what we've got so far. Save project as. Here we go. And this is, what is this? 78? I think it is. Yes, it is. Stadia Cast 78. All right. I'm going to start recording. Here we go. And we are back, and Lloyd sent me this message earlier this week. Hold on, what's up,
Before we do
Lloyd?
that, I'm getting called out in the chat room because I said Dead Souls. I meant Dead Cells and Demon Souls. Two different games. I didn't mean like Dark Souls and Demon Souls. I meant Dead Cells and Demon Souls, which are two different games from way two different manufacturers. My bad. I spoke incorrectly. I'm on cold meds, so my brain's a little bit foggy right now.
Demon Dead? Is that what?
Demon Dead, yeah.
Okay.
And Soul Cells. I think that's the other game I was talking about.
There you go. All right. So Lloyd sent me this message earlier this week with a whole bunch of exclamation points after it, and this was warranted because this is a big deal. Came to us from Stadia Source, and it says here, Google has detailed a new experimental feature for Stadia called Tandem. Tandem mode allows users to plug in a second controller directly into your Stadia controller's USB-C port if you have it connected wirelessly. The second controller can then be used as a primary controller. You can use either controller to play on Stadia, even both at the same time. The first thing that came to mind when they said that even both at the same time would be, okay, I'm going to control the left stick, you control the right stick, and let's play human fall flat. We'll see how that goes.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That's not what it's for, though. What's it for, Lloyd?
So this is an amazing feature that Stadia added. So I'm a big fan. I'm not a big fan. That's a weird way to put it. I'm a champion of accessibility options in video games because I know a lot of people that have physical limitations where they can't use dual sticks all the time. They can't push all the buttons. So what Tandem mode allows you to do is plug in other controllers that are maybe a little bit more comfortable. Like you might have a custom controller that you made yourself. You might have a PlayStation 4 controller that you feel is more comfortable for you. You might have an Xbox controller that's more comfortable for you. But even better, this supports the Xbox adaptive controller, which is a controller that can be anything. It is made for people that have physical limitations. And now Stadia is available to everybody. Pretty much you can find a controller that'll work for you for playing on Stadia, which is fantastic. I do hope that Tandem will be updated in the future to allow the controller plugged in to be a second player, because that would be a really cheap way to add a player two. But as it is right now, the fact that you can have the Xbox adaptive controller, this opens up the world of Stadia to like hundreds of thousands, millions of people that can't play on a normal controller, and that is huge. And kudos to Google Stadia for putting something like this out, because this is going to be great for people that need help playing video games. This is going to allow them to use whatever is comfortable for them to play the games that they love.
Absolutely. This is very, very big. And look, there's a lot of times where I give Google a hard time about something. I'm happy that they brought this. It would have been nice if they had launched with this, but I'm happy that they decided to bring it now. In chat, I see a bunch of people saying, I wonder if it can be used for this. I wonder if it can be used for that. So one of the things that we've said forever ago is right now there's no keyboard and mouse support when you want to play on a Chromecast Ultra. and we suggested in the past, what if you could get a keyboard and mouse combo that had a
Right.
USB-C cord and you could plug that into your controller and then you'd be all set?
Mm,
Would that work? I don't know, because
yeah.
how many inputs, like like firmware wise, how many inputs does a Stadia controller have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you translate all of the buttons on a keyboard to doing something like that? Do you think that that's a possibility, Lloyd?
They would have to update Tandem mode to support more general HID standards. So you plug in a USB keyboard and it shows up as a USB keyboard and transfers to the game that way. There are programmable keyboards that you can get for game systems where you can set up the WASD keys to be the left stick. You can set up the mouse to be the right stick, and then all the various buttons, you can configure them. So it would work in that instance most likely. But yeah, what it basically is doing is mapping the A button on this controller that's plugged into your Stadia controller to the A button input of that is sent back to Stadia. So not now. I don't think right now is going to be keyboard mouse support, but they could make this bigger and better and actually have that start to work.
Do you think that that's a firmware update or limitation, or is that a hardware limitation, do you think?
Well, I don't know much about the firmware in the Stadia controller, how much room they have for more programming into it. But provided they have enough memory, and they can and they can support plugging in a controller that has 101 inputs and a mouse that has 5 buttons and a basically an analog stick complement, because you can move the mouse up, down, left, and right. They could potentially support keyboard and mouse, but this version doesn't do it. It'll support, there's a series of controllers that they show off on the FAQs. It's like the PlayStation 4 controller, Xbox controller from the first gen, the new one that has Bluetooth, the the adaptive controller, and there's a couple others that they know are supported right away. But I'm sure there's going to be other ones that people are going to be able to find. Like if your controller supports just standard HID inputs, there's a good chance that it's going to work if it has a way to pass the controls through the USB cord, because a lot of the wireless controllers, they don't. So if you plug in like I'm throwing out Mad Catz, I'm not sure if that is one of them, but if you have like a Mad Catz PlayStation 4 controller, it might not transfer button presses through the USB connection. So if that controller is connected to Stadia controller, obviously it's not going to work. So you have to kind of play around with whatever you have to see if it works in this new feature.
Yeah. People in chat are saying no PS5 controller. I'm sure that kind of thing will come down the road.
It's not out yet.
Yeah, they don't. Google doesn't have one. I don't think Sony was like, by the way, would you like to borrow our PS5 controller so you can figure out how to let people use it on your service? That's not like Google's going to have to go to the store and fight scalpers for a PS5 controller, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
People are also suggesting this might be able to bring racing wheels to the CCU, which that all makes a whole bunch of sense. Now, we've been talking about the CCU, the Chromecast Ultra, for those of you who don't know, and the Chromecast. Well, Google had this big announcement, series of announcements this week, where they were talking about, new phones and all of their other stuff. And one of the things was Google TV, which I think that Google is now getting to the point where they're like, we're going to get rid of the Chromecast branding. I think that that's probably a good idea. Get rid of the Chromecast branding. I think Google is better branding, especially if they're trying to go with a remote here. But people have their hands on it, and it does not support Stadia. And I think Stadia support is supposed to come mid next year. Is that right, Lloyd?
They said first half of 2021, so it could be January 1st or it could be the end of June.
Yeah, there
like
you go.
It's a big window.
It is a big window, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who love Google Stadia. They want Google
Mhm.
Stadia to succeed, and they expect that Google is going to spend a whole bunch of time on their big announcement day talking
Yep.
about Google Stadia, and Google didn't do that, and they were really mad about that. And Google also doesn't have Stadia built into the Google TV, and people are upset about that. I kind of talked about this extensively yesterday on my open mic. What do you think about this, Lloyd?
Yeah, I put out a tweet a couple days later once things have settled down because all I saw was hate. So there's people that don't cover Stadia that were making fun of Google for doing this. There's people that only cover Stadia that were very angry at Google for doing this, and it does suck. But what we have to remember is we're living in a COVID world, so I'm sure that Google had the plan for this event. So this event was not just for the Chromecast with Google TV, codename Sabrina. This was for that, but it was also for new phones, and it was also for the new smart speaker, the Nest speaker. So for Google to delay this event because the Stadia team didn't have time to get their code ready potentially, or it didn't line up with their own targets to hit various software releases, I think is a little tough to blame the Stadia team. Google is a huge company, and they're a product company, they're a software company, they're a services company, and not everything is going to line up at the same time. What I said is it disappointing? Sure. Nothing would have been better for me as a Stadia lover for millions of people to order this new Chromecast with Google TV device, plug it in, and then have a Stadia icon by default on their on their screen, and then they could click it and they could say, "What's this Stadia thing?" And it's like, "Hey, Stadia allows you to play the latest games without buying a console. You can buy Marvel's Avengers for $60 right now and begin playing in 30 seconds if you have a controller. If you can pair an Xbox or PlayStation controller, or you can buy the Google Stadia controller, blah 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 blah. And here's a promo code to get a Stadia controller and 3 months of Pro for a super bargain." That would have been amazing. But I mean, I guess the goals of the Chromecast team are different than the goals of the Stadia team. So it's just going to take a while for Stadia to make their app work properly on Google TV. It doesn't work on Google TV by default. You can't go to the store and download it. You can sideload it, but it's not something that they're officially supporting. So that's going to take some time. So hopefully within a few months, you're going to be able to get one of these devices and plug it in and download the Stadia app and hit the Stadia button on your controller, and it's going to immediately start Stadia on your Google TV, and everything will be fine. But it's going to take a little bit of time. So I have one of these on order. It comes out later in Canada than it does in the US, which was a little bit disappointing. You can get it now in the US, and it doesn't release till the 15th of October in Canada. So in a couple weeks, hopefully I'll have one, and I can try side loading the Stadia app and loading the Xbox app and the GeForce Now app and all the streaming services on it that I can, just to see how well it's going to work as a streaming device. This device by default also doesn't come with a Ethernet port. So if you want to be hardwired, you're actually going to have to go buy a separate adapter or a USB-C hub that has a gigabit Ethernet port on it. So there's a lot of things to criticize Google with with this announcement, but you got to understand that Stadia is such a small little drop in the ocean of products and money that Google makes. So they weren't going to hold up the huge announcement of new phones, a speaker, and this new device just because Stadia needed some more time to get their software ready, if that's even the reason why it's not on it at launch.
Well, yeah. First off, let's talk about the software is not ready. The Verge side-loaded Stadia onto it, and I guess it was crashing a bunch, and trying to buy things in the store would make it crash. If they launched with it like that, like if they put Stadia on there and shipped it, that would push people away from Stadia, which that
Yeah.
would be a bad thing. So I think it's good that they decided, you know what, we're not going to do that. The fact that it doesn't come with an Ethernet port, I think that that's perfectly reasonable because, first off, they got that $50 price point, which is a ridiculously low price. I still
Yeah.
think that that's a really low price to
Yep.
pay for what you're getting here. They got that $50 price point, and you have to remember that this product is not aimed at us. It's not
Hmm.
aimed at Stadia users. It's aimed at people who want to watch Netflix on their TV without using the dumb TV interface that they have now. And because we have a smart TV downstairs, a smart TV. I did air quotes for the podcast listeners. The interface for that thing is a train wreck. So we have an Apple TV and a Chromecast on that down there, and that's what we used. That's what we use on that TV. But the actual experience of using that TV is terrible, and for that, people are willing to pay $50 to have a better experience with that, and that's what this is for. Yes, it can also be used for Google Stadia down the road, and I think that
Yep.
that's perfectly reasonable. Another thing that I want to point out is that xCloud is not available on Windows, and Microsoft makes both of those things. Should the most recent version of Windows be delayed if xCloud isn't ready to run on Windows in the Edge browser? I don't know. I don't think it should be. There's a lot of people who are like saying this is the end, but guess what? We've had a million times where people have said this is the end. It's not the end. It's fine.
Hmm.
It's fine. Relax, people.
Yeah. What you have to understand is, as I said, Google's a huge company, and each team that works on a product has their own product roadmap and priorities. So just because the Google TV team didn't sit with the Google Stadia team and figure this out doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. We know it's going to happen in the first 6 months. As it is right now, if you want to play Stadia on your TV, you go buy a Premier Edition. It comes with a Chromecast Ultra. It comes with your controller. You can get on Stadia and play it right away. So there still is that solution there. Google is taking the Chromecast Ultra off sale of their website, and it's basically a dead product. So general people aren't going to be buying that in addition or instead of this new Google TV, because this is definitely the way that Google is steering everything. They've worked so much on this interface to have deep search in all the different TV services that have apps on this thing. That's probably one of the main sticking points to getting Stadia working. They want that deep search to run with Stadia as well, so you can just hit the little button on your controller and say Marvel's Avengers, and it pops up the Marvel's Avenger game. You hit play. Next thing you know, you fire up your Stadia controller and you're playing that game. So it's big companies, even though you think like they should all be pointed in the same direction, they all should be doing the same thing. Every single team has their own priorities and their own milestones to hit. Like it's not one team and one person saying you do this, you do this, you do this. Everybody is every part of the company is kind of doing their own thing to try to get their products up to the best possible versions of those products.
It's kind of like playing 16-player Human Fall Flat.
It is, and they're all like independent companies in the Alphabet company, and they all do stupid things like fall into pits and respawn from the ceiling. So yeah, it's very much like that.
All right, let's move on. There's a new this bugs me so much. Cyberpunk 2077. They are now doing 6-day work weeks in order to hit launch on time. I can't stand it when game companies do this. Just delay your game. I don't care if the game comes out on the day that you said it was going to come out. Just delay it so that people don't have to work 6 days a week. And it's a lot of times, like, you'll hear about these companies and they'll say things like, oh man, our employees are so dedicated, we can't get them to go home. These guys are saying, no. CD Projekt Red has said that 6-day work weeks are now mandatory leading up to the November release of Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
This bugs the hell out of me, and it makes me not want to play this game. What do you think, Lloyd?
Crunch is bad. It's bad for people's health. It's bad for people's mental stability as well. Because if you want to go home and spend time with your family, yet everybody else on your team is staying there late or working on a Saturday, you feel bad. And even though it might not be required, in this case it is required, but for some companies it's not required. It's probably not going to look good during your performance review if you're constantly going home at 5 o'clock and then not coming in on the weekends for companies where crunch is a thing. So it's been a huge issue in the gaming industry for a while. And the Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red has basically come out and said in the past that we're not doing crunch anymore.
Yeah.
We're not putting a date on a game till we know we can meet it, and we're not going to do crunch. But then COVID happened and it changed the way that development was done. I'm sure there was a month or two where almost no development was, like real development was being done, because everybody is at their house setting up remote development systems, trying to debug remote running code, like all the worst possible way to develop a game happened, and that forced them to delay. There's been multiple delays with Cyberpunk. One was saying Stadia is not coming at launch. We didn't know if it was supposed to come at launch, but that could be seen as a delay, because that now allows them to take that like rush to the finish and push it off a little bit. But then they delayed the game a couple times since then. This doesn't look good for CD Projekt Red after coming out and saying we're not doing crunch anymore. But sadly, that is the way the games industry is, and I hate it. I know game development. I have friends in game development, and I know a buddy who worked 80-hour work weeks for months to get a game that was terrible to launch. And that's all that they could do, because it's either that or get fired, and that's what they did. So yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's lame. It's lame. Don't do it, CD Projekt Red. All right,
Yeah.
Let's move on. 9 to 5 Google did another APK insight, which is where they go through the files that they can and look for a bunch of information. And go ahead.
Can I just jump in and say, if you want to find out about the APK breakdowns before 9 to 5 Google, just check out Jem's videos, because he puts out these great videos, and then a few hours to a few days later, 9 to 5 Google has an article that has the exact same info in it. So if you want the early access, that is a great way to do it.
Yeah, and I would use Jem's stuff, but I can't do a video. Like, I can't bring up his video and show things from it in the middle of a video that we're recording. So
exactly.
Jem, I just had an idea. I'm going to reach out to you about something. All right, so let's take a look at this. Voice in captures. This is actually really, really cool. It could be bad, though. It could be bad. Like, I was playing Risk of Rain 2, and I was fighting that boss with his giant hammer, and it killed me, and I hit the clip button, and I'm not sure if I shouted out an expletive or not. It could have. I may have, but I'm not sure. And that could have happened where I'm like, no. But now clips can include your voice. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming this is only the case if you have a headphone, headphones plugged into the headphone jack.
Correct.
But I think that's really, really interesting. Go ahead.
I think it's great. There's a lot of people that do reactions to stupid things that happen, and having their voice there would be something that they'd want for their content creation. So I get why that is there. Hopefully it's something you can turn off, but we'll have to see once this feature actually gets pushed to live.
Yeah, it says right here, it says we can't find any other details explaining how this works or if it can be disabled. Given the text uses the word can, it seems plausible that this can be disabled either as a global setting or voice can be removed from a clip after it's saved. I'm guessing it would probably either be all in or not all in. Being able to go in and remove a second, like your voice afterwards, would necessitate them recording 2 tracks, and that's double the storage for, well, maybe not double the storage, but it increases the storage, so who knows. This next one is really cool. Referral programs. They found a thing in there that says you're getting 1 extra month of Pro from your friend plus your free trial offer. So basically, you can refer a friend to Stadia, and if that person then signs up for Stadia Pro, you get an extra month of Pro, which is
Correct.
really cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great for content creators that want to get an easy way for their community to support them. Hit the referral link and buy a month of Pro. We'll get a month of Pro. We can keep creating more content. That's great, but it's also a really good way to reward a friend of yours, because there's another thing in later on that says basically I could buy you I could pay for a month of Pro for you, and then I get a month of Pro at the same time. So just me getting a month of Pro normally allows me to then take that month and give it to a friend as well, which is going to be great. We're getting close to the holiday season, so this would be a really great way for people to do Christmas gifts or whatever. Buy a controller for a family member and then gift them a month of Pro so that they can get all the games that are available at that time. So really, really cool. I'm glad that Google's doing this. Not something that I ever expected them to do, so it's really nice to see something that benefits the users like this.
Just keep in mind that those referral rewards are only eligible if you're in the U.S. and Canada. You got included this time, Lloyd, so there you go. But keep that in mind. And then there's some information on family sharing that says share purchased games, add-ons, and claimed Pro games. Your family won't need a Pro subscription to play. Some content may not be eligible for sharing. This is big news.
This is huge. I know personally, a friend of mine has multiple Pro accounts because they wanted to claim every single Pro game for themselves and their kids. When this launches, they no longer have to do that anymore. Whatever Pro game that the main accounts, the main family parent account, or whatever the top account is called in Google Family Sharing, whatever they have in their library will now be shared to everybody else, and they don't need to pay for Pro to play those games. That's going to be huge. We don't know any details about what, say, Amazon Luna is doing, where you can have potentially, just by reading what they've put up online. Obviously it's not out yet, so we don't know for sure, but 2 people can play the same game at the same time. That would be a really amazing feature, so that I could buy a copy of Borderlands, I could play it here in my office, my son could be in the living room playing his Chromecast with his own Stadia controller. We're playing multiplayer. That would be fantastic. But everything about Google talking about family sharing makes me think that won't be a thing. But we'll have to wait and see once family sharing actually comes out.
Although this is one of those moments where it definitely illustrates how competition is a benefit to the consumer, because perhaps Luna's doing that thing where 2 people can play at the same time. Perhaps that will push Google in the direction of, you know what, we're going to make it so that 2 people can play at the same time, because that's a better experience for the consumer, and it will level the playing field between us and Luna. So I love competition, and it makes things so much better for us. The last thing from the APK teardown that I'm going to look through, that we can look through, they've been talking about messaging coming to Stadia for a while now. This is actually very interesting, is that they have smart reply suggestions, kind of like when you're typing an email in Gmail and it's like it kind of finishes sentences for you. It looks like they're going to do that in Google Stadia as well, which is fantastic. Although I'm going to say once again, I'm going to shake my fist at the sky and say, let me type with my voice. You have everything there that you need. Just let me do it. All right, Google, just let me do it. I'm going to point at the camera. All right. Anything else, Lloyd, before we get to crowd play?
I don't think so. It's always good to see these take aparts, but we've had family share in the APK for what seems like like 8 months, and it hasn't launched yet. So just because it's in there for testing doesn't mean that it's going to be launching anytime soon. But family sharing is the number one request from everybody. When we do a stream, everyone asks, hey, when's family sharing coming? So Google knows this is important and they want to do it the right way. So hopefully this launches soon and it launches properly.
All right, let's take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be taking your questions. Stick around, everybody. All right, let me save, and I'm just going to make a stream marker. I missed. All right, here we go. We don't have any comments. All right, that's fine. Here we go. All right, in this part of the show, this is where Lloyd and I talk about what you guys want us to talk about. This one's going to be pretty quick, though, because we went long on all of the other stuff. Before we begin, I want to say thank you to Merrick for becoming a member, Consino and Sukotronic for their generosity by sending in super chats. You guys are absolutely fantastic, and Lloyd and I appreciate the support. We really, really do. All right. I tweeted out when I was making show notes, what do you guys want us to talk about? Gem Stadia, who we mentioned a minute ago, he said, we need to discuss how there's no Crash Bandicoot 4 on Stadia. It's the best game I've ever played, and I'm nearly halfway through the game. And then, Kaparian replied, also Rocket League, which was recently turned into a free-to-play everywhere else. So Crash Bandicoot 4, Stadia, thoughts?
I'd love to see it. I'm trying to figure out which system I'm going to buy it on because in the past I've played every Crash Bandicoot game with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. Now I'm married to her, and I'd love to play 4 with her. And I'm trying to figure out, well, do I want to get it on Xbox? I want to get it on PlayStation 4. Where am I going to do this? If it was on Stadia, it would be a no-brainer. I'd pick it up on Stadia because then I could play it on every screen in my house. Yeah, I'd love to see it on Stadia.
Yeah, and for what Saparian or Kiparian, I don't know how to say his name. I apologize. He says Rocket League. That's owned by Epic Games. Epic Games bought Psyonix, and they have said that the user base is too small right now in order to justify the extra work that it would be to maintain a game, because like they're talking about Fortnite, which is this live living thing that has to constantly change. And I think Rocket League is kind of like that too. They're always adding in new stuff. So maybe I think Rocket League has more of a chance to come over than Fortnite because it's just skins that really change, as opposed to the map all of the time. But I think that's unlikely right now. Maybe in the future. Let's see. Seven says there is a better wireless headset support via USB now, as I've heard. I think that's important to know for many Stadia gamers. I only use wired headphones sometimes, so I don't know the details myself. And yeah, I did see that as well. Somebody plugged in to the bottom of their, or the top of, was it the bottom or the top? The top of the top of their controller, this little dongle that had a Bluetooth audio. It's a Bluetooth audio dongle, and then they were able to use their Bluetooth headphones with the Stadia controller. What are you doing over there, man?
I have one of these little dongles that goes on my Nintendo Switch, and it doesn't fit because it has these little nubs that plug into the bottom of the Nintendo Switch. But there's an expansion thing, which then would have it stick off like an inch from my controller. I got to try this to see if it works with my Beats or my AirPods, because that would be a really cool way to play Stadia sometimes too. One thing I didn't even think, because I was like, I can't push it in, so it's not going to work. And I'm like, oh yeah, it came with this crazy expansion, like extender. I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Look forward to a video from Lloyd about that. Let's see, where are we here? We just got a super chat from Patrice. They said, I would love to see Path of Exile released on Stadia. I was talking about this a little bit yesterday. That game is awesome. It's basically kind of like Diablo 2, and very, very. It's like if Blizzard didn't make Diablo 3 and somebody else made a Diablo 3, based it on Diablo 2. Really good game. has controller support, very customizable, free to play, works in Vulkan. There's no reason why it shouldn't be on Stadia. So I would love to see that come to Stadia at some point. It's a really good game. I would maybe Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, or both.
Or both. There you go.
Both. Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you want to add on to the show before we wrap up, my friend?
No, just that the USB-C controller, or sorry, headphone thing where you can plug your USB-C headphones right into the controller. Apparently, it gets rid of the issues that people are having with very low sound coming from the controller using this port, which is the standard like 3.5mm headphone jack. So if you're having issues and you have a set of USB-C headphones or a set of USB headphones and a USB-C adapter, try it out if you're having issues with the volume level coming out of the headphone jack.
Listen, somebody noticed that you were holding up your Wasabi controller. I have a quick question for you before we get out of here.
Yeah.
I saw some tweets from you this week where you were complaining about your controller. What have they said?
So this trigger would completely stick, and it would completely stick depressed, and I'd have to lift it up and then push it down again. So I talked to support, and they're like, okay, fill out this form, we'll get back to you. Funny thing happened. I had my controller on the edge of my desk because I was trying to clean some stuff on my my desk, and I was playing Avengers, and I just sat there with Hulk kind of doing his heavy breathing thing. Next thing you know, Hulk got hurt, and my controller started vibrating, and the controller fell off my desk, and I guess landed right on that trigger. It's working now. There's no issues with it now. From So I did like the Fawns thing on it. I hit it and it started working. So I know that is a very bad thing, and I'm not recommending anybody drops their controller. But now I don't really need to finish up with support because it's working right now, and I'm happy about that. So yeah, it feels just like this one. So there must have been a loose something in here. I'm really worried that this is just going to stop working. But I can't send it in now because it's working perfectly. So I'm gonna have to see if it starts to cause me problems again, and then I can continue off with Google support.
Hulk fix everything.
Yeah, Hulk knows how to fix things. Apparently, this is great.
It's like the opposite of Hulk smash.
Yeah, Hulk smash for good.
Yeah, that's right. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for listening to the show. We had some other tweets that came in, but we went really long today, so we're gonna either save those for later, or maybe I'll do another open mic later on this week. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out in 2 days.
Oh my God.
I am very excited about that, and look forward to some streams of that. I don't know. I'm going to be super busy this week. I don't know when I'm going to be able to, but I absolutely will be playing that game, and I absolutely will be streaming that game as well. So Root Verani wants to know, are we getting a crowd choice live stream? As soon as we can, we will do that. Follow the show on Twitter at StadiaCast. Follow me at Run Jump Stomp. Follow Dasme at DASME. You can also join our Discord. You can find my Discord at runjumpstomp.com. You can find Lloyd's Discord at res.tv. And I hope you guys all have an awesome day. Lloyd, stay awesome, man.
Yeah, you too, Bill. Take it easy, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Save. And don't go anywhere, because Lloyd is going to be playing Avengers. He's going to see if Hulk can fix other things in his house. Leaky pipe. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the little accessory bag that came with my Bluetooth transmitter. Yeah, and I can't find it for some strange reason. I'll have to do that later today. I'll have to look for it to see if it works.
So I
don't
saw...
know
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I saw earlier in chat, somebody said, Gem is really close to 1,000 subs.
Mm-hmm.
The URL, I don't want to say the URL because I'm going to get it wrong. So
Gem, what's the URL to your channel?
Yeah, post the URL to your channel in chat. And we've got almost 200 people here right now. If everybody went over and click on the subscribe button, then there you go. There you go. There it is right there. All right. Everybody go subscribe. Jem's awesome. Jem's awesome. We like Jem. He's a nice guy.
We do. He's at 952 subs right now. So let's see how that goes. Hopefully he'll get up to 1,000 no problem.
Yeah, and then he can have memberships and stuff.
That's right.
All right. A lot of people here probably already subbed because he's always here and super helpful. All right.
Exactly.
So there is a link in the description down below that is going to take you to Lloyd. Actually, Lloyd, you don't here. Why don't you hop off, and I'll stay on and point people to your link once you're live.
Okay, that works. I'm going to hang up from this call then.
All right, get out of here, man.
Later.
Bye. So Lloyd is going to go and play Avengers, and he's going to be playing it with you guys. So do yourself a favor, and there's a link right down below in the description, which will take you guys to Lloyd. So he's going to be playing any minute, and I'm going to try and bring up that right now. There's the link right there. Copy, paste, 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 paste. There we go. What game is on the background? Impossible for the PC Engine. Impossible. Let me click on it myself. Oh no! There we go. Something went wrong. Why is something going wrong? That's not cool. Trying to bring up the stream. Is there something wrong with that link? I'm gonna see if I can find it. It says that there's people watching. Copy. Paste. Ah, there we go. Okay. So this is going to go live any moment. And if you guys didn't know, Lloyd also has a show called Nintendo Pulse. And I'm gonna click that link right there. Copy. Check out Nintendo Pulse. And I'm gonna pin that right there. There we go. Well, Sammy, if you go to look at that. Lloyd's live right there. All right. There he is. So he's live. That means I'm going to stop talking and let you guys hang out with Lloyd. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.